Hello and welcome to the Blue Room Live blog. This is a live forum where 25 Perth theatre artists have been invited to share their views on live arts and theatre in Perth. And tonight's blogger is Natalie Holmwood.
Yay.
Thank you. Hi. I just want to say thank you to the Blue Room for inviting me to be a blogger, and also for doing the blogs. I found them all really interesting, so I'm quite honoured to be involved. Just give some background to myself. I am an actor, deviser, panellist and rather crap circus enthusiast. I've spent about 7 years in the arts community in Perth. I started with my degree that began at the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts with a BA in Theatre Arts, and then in my last year there it moved to the School of Contemporary Arts and became Contemporary Performance. And since graduating in 2005, I've been in a lot of independent theatre. I've done a show with Black Swan. I've been to Sydney with an emerging artist program with an aerial theatre company called Legs on the Wall, and capped that all off with this year being in the Hotbed Ensemble with Black Swan again. I'm 23, so that puts me in the sort of emerging artist bracket, I suppose you'd call it. So I wanted to talk about my experience in Perth as an emerging artist. I know that it can be said that Perth is quite an isolated city, and the community, especially the arts community, can be very small. However, I found my time here desperately trying to be an artist actually really very positive. I don't know whether it's because of the smallness and isolation that I've always found the arts community to be very nurturing and encouraging to young artists trying to find their feet. Whether this is the variety of funding opportunities around, support from companies or individuals in the community, I know my way as an artist was made so much easier by the environment and the company I was in, especially venues like the Blue Room that gave, I know, me and the people I work with, who were crazy kids with a dream coming out of university and trying to turn all this stuff they'd learnt into actual practice. They gave us the space and the encouragement to make work, but also, and I think this is something that I found really important in Perth that perhaps not so much in other places, was just the ability to fail and to have the openness from the people around you to try what you want to and maybe it not work, but I think that's how you grow as a performer and an artist and a deviser. So I think we made some really great work that got a lot of really good feedback because of that. Another thing is the money that's around and the funding available to young artists, especially in Western Australia. I know from my time spent in Sydney talking to other young artists, there's just not that funding there, and there's not that support to back them up of being able to support themselves financially if they choose to. It's a lot harder. And as well, I know a lot of people say that funding and the bureaucracy surrounding it, especially with the government, can be really tiresome and really confusing, and I can completely understand where they're coming from. I'm a panellist with DCA on the Young Person and the Arts panel as well, and I have found though from that, and also writing grants myself, is that I know my head, as coming from a very creative point of view, can be very muddlesome sometimes and really focus on more of it. That looks nice rather than anything else. So I know that for me, having to sit down and look at money and time and what exactly I want to do was really useful for me, and also kind of helped me think about why I want to do a project and why I even sort of want to be an artist. So that's something I found from the discussions about funding. Another great thing I thought about the Perth arts community as a younger artist is that younger and older artists have a great opportunity to mix together. They get to talk to each other and they get to learn off each other, is something I found. And there is a real awareness of everything going on within the community. The Blue Room, as an example, which has a lot of up-and-coming theatre, has people from Perth's major theatre companies coming to see work here, which I know personally was great for me because I got to do a main stage show with Black Swan last year from my exposure that I initially got from the Blue Room, and I got to do that when I was 22, which was something that I never expected. It was a long-term goal of mine to be able to work with a major theatre company in Perth, but I never thought that it would happen when I was quite so young, so that was really quite awesome, and I think that happened because of the closeness of the community and the exposure you get. And just the stuff I got to do while I've been learning here. Like, I have been to Sydney and I've done some learning opportunities there, and that's been great. I've been able to bring that learning back as well. But just the exposure to so many points of knowledge that I've gotten to do. Like, I've done a residency with an Indigenous community last year. I've gotten into circus arts, which is something I've always been really interested in. I've been able to sing. I've been able to be a panellist on a government funding board. Just like, I've been able to do this massive amount of stuff without leaving a place which people say is very small, and you don't get a lot of opportunities. So I didn't really find that. And of course, the creative people in Perth just continue to amaze me. I found, especially from watching all the blogs, just something that really struck me was the passion and the knowledge and the intelligence of everyone who put their opinion forward. And I think that, you know, whether you love it or you hate it, that's a real credit to the Perth community, that there are so many talented people that are so passionate and have chosen to stay here. And I think that's something to say. And then, so this is something that I come back to when I leave Perth. I mean, I will badmouth it as much as the next person to anyone, especially when I'm in a bad mood, because it's hard. It is really hard being an artist in Perth, and sometimes you really want to give up, but then it's really hard being an artist anywhere, I think. So, and I find myself when I'm not here and people ask me why I choose to work here, when I could move east or internationally, I always come back to the fact that there are great people and there is an amazing amount of support, especially for young people. And a mentality I've found from artists is that who aren't from Perth, and when I've been away, a lot of them tend to have sometimes this element of I'm working against things to achieve my practice. And I always found this word against very strange, because I have always found that from the work I've done, that when people ask, from the work that I've done, that when I think of the word that I would most associate that, and the main word that I've heard through that 7 years would be collaboration. And I think that's a real credit to the community that I've been working in, that it's not so much we're against each other, it's more of we'll collaborate, and I've been able to work with some amazing people who I've learnt so much of because of that, which I think is great. And just to finish off, when Jancis first asked me to do the blog, and one of the questions that was sent in the little email was, why am I an artist? And it really bothered me, because I kept trying to articulate why I wanted to do this. And I suppose coming back to what Emily McLean said, and to steal from her, I'm an artist because I can't really do anything or be anything else without being amazingly unhappy. So, and I thought I'd finish off to steal from another great theatre person about why I do love what I do, is Oscar Wilde. And there's a little quote: I regard the theatre as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way in which a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being.